Good afternoon, this is Media Center Ukraine, Odesa. We continue with our briefings. And now we are having with us Oleksii, Chornyi, head of the Coordination Humanitarian Headquarters of the Odesa oblast, who will provide the report of the work of headquarters and tell us about winterization. I would like to welcome all the journalists present here today and would like to thank Ukrainian Media Center Ukraine Odesa for the invitation. This is our traditional monthly report, and we will briefly update you about our challenges, achievements, and our future plans. We have a range of partners, including TV channels, printed media, internet outlets, and we have more than 15,000 views on all our pages. There were a lot of reports and comments, including about winterization that has already started. The second part of our report covers the number of our volunteers and employees. Since November, we have had certain changes in our structures. Some of the employees and some of our employees have been hired by the municipal institution, and we agreed with the local authorities that some of the volunteers can be hired to get salary, and this is a significant improvement because before that, over the whole period, most of our volunteers worked free of charge. So now, starting from November, we have employed staff and still some of volunteers. In general, we have 75 people involved in our activity. Some of them work in office, others work in our warehouses. We are also supported by a teacher. They help us to form food packages. The teachers from Odesa Oblast support us in our warehouses. But if to speak about the general number of constant employees, these are 75 people. And we can see the dynamics of the volunteers in May 226. That was the biggest amount, and you see that we have been witnessing decline since then, but there are objective reasons for this. People actually need to have jobs to earn money, but we are very thankful to those who are still with us. The day before yesterday, we had the Day of Volunteer, and we awarded our volunteers. The volunteers, the most active volunteers of our headquarters, were awarded by the Oblast Military Administration and the headquarters. You can see now some of our volunteers. The faces of the people who have been taking efforts to improve the situation for the residents of Odesa, Mykolaiv, and Kherson oblasts. We have a hotline. We have received 350 calls during the reported period, and you can see the statistics in terms of the topics. The amount of calls has been decreasing. In general, there were 11,000 of calls, 11,000 of people who addressed our hotline. We have a separate line to get claims from the military. We provide this information to the comment. We have also a separate line for IDPs and a separate line for Odesa residents. And we also have general hotline. You can see the telephone numbers on the screen, and you can call here to get general information. We plan to strengthen our call center. We are planning to have more operators, And we will also try to raise awareness about the telephone number of the hotline, because people should know what telephone number they can call to get information or to leave their claim. For example, now the important issues include the addresses of the people who are evacuated from the liberated territories in terms of preparing their documents, etc. We also get claims with regard to different authorities, and we also receive different questions. For example, now a very urgent topic is the power cuts. On the screen, you can see now the telephone numbers of the special lines of our hotline. I would like to draw your attention to the hotline for the military. We did not expect it would be that popular, but we get a lot of calls from the military, from their relatives who share the challenges that our military has been facing. We provide this information to the command for the respected response and feedback. They also provide us feedback in terms of how many calls have been processed, what was the response, etc. The work is ongoing, and we will continue providing this information to the command. So if their people have some information to share, they can call the hotline. They can do this anonymously, but 90% in 90% of the calls, people provide their personal details when they share the challenges they have been facing. The next slide, please. As for our main task, this is obtaining the humanitarian aid from our donors. In November, we have received 872 pallets. This is more than compared to the previously reported period. This can be explained by the fact that we started obtaining goods related to winterization. We had received a lot of beds, 5,500 folded beds, and we also get mattresses, bed linen, pillows with the folding beds. We also provide this to the towns and cities in the oblast. We have prepared more than 2,000 places to accommodate people from the liberated territories. And during November, we used 1,000 such places to accommodate people. We also receive support from different organizations, including the UN agencies that are very active in supporting us, and they provide the biggest aid, including the personal care kits that we receive from UNICEF, 100-liter water tanks that we also disseminated, and other goods and items. So you can see that there are pallets with food products, with hygiene goods, with goods for children, clothes, and other items. We also continue cooperating with the World Food Programme, and we will provide the information that we have implemented together with this program in terms of creating food packages. The next slide, please. And the next one is for cooperation. We constantly monitor the activities of different organizations in different months. Now the most active are the UN agencies. They are in constant contact with us. They provide aid. They offer some specific items, and after that we coordinate them with them logistical issues and the reporting issues. One of the main tasks of our headquarters is to establish contacts with partners The next slide, please. I've already mentioned that from UNICEF we have received water tanks. Our communities need these tanks, and we have provided these tanks to them respectively for hospitals, for boarding schools, and also we provided this to the accommodation places for IDPs. As for logistics, over November, we have loaded 560. We have shipped 167 pallets, mainly using the road transport. Similarly to the previous period, the private companies provide trucks to us. Administration provides fuel. But unfortunately, we have some challenges in this area because private companies actually have their commercial voyages, and there is always debt in terms of the fuel. We are trying to solve the issue, and we address it to our partners abroad. And we hope that they will be able to provide some number of trucks to us in the framework of humanitarian aid. We also use railways. In November, we had only 5 wagons, but we expect that in December, this number will increase significantly. In November, we opened a new warehouse with a square of 3,000 square meters. This partially solved the issue with the warehouse we had, because before that we used the facilities of private companies. On the one hand, that was quite convenient because they also provide the equipment, they paid for communal services, they also provided their staff. But on the other hand, that was quite a difficult process because we had to combine and to place our goods together with the goods of the private companies. So we have now 1 transit warehouse and 2 permanent warehouses. I cannot say now that we have enough warehouse facilities, but the situation has anyway improved. You can also see that we have 7 warehouses in different raions or districts under the responsibility of regional headquarters. And every community, especially in big cities or towns, have their own warehouses. So we have at least 300 warehouses within our structure. As for amount of humanitarian aid that we are storing at the moment, this is 2,037 pallets. Half of them are for food products, half of them for children's goods, hygiene products, and other items. Some pallets are used for current support, and then I will provide you numbers in terms of the people who have received aid. Some of them are reserved. For example, we have some reserve of pets, which is agreed with the military administration. We're getting boilers now that we will also disseminate among regional institutions. And we will have some reserve of boilers as well. That's why we try to ship quickly what we receive, but at the same time to form reserves in case of emergencies, to be able to support people if they need this. Statistics with regard to IDPs. As of the 1st December, we have 129,000 people, including 37,800 children. So they amount to about 30%, and 4,700 people with disabilities. After partially liberating the Kherson Oblast, we have been witnessing the increased flow of IDPs. We register IDPs every day. Despite the fact that Odesa now officially does not accept the flow of evacuated people, contrary to Khmelnytska Oblast and the city of Kropivnitsky, we still have everyday IDPs who address us, especially with regard to accommodation, and these people also register in the Odesa Oblast. This is understood because people evacuate voluntarily and they choose oblasts or regions which are most safe from their point of view. Today we have the meeting with the relevant institutions. And there are 5 organizations that coordinate meeting of these people at the railway station. And today we have discussed with them how we can improve the procedure, because it is not ideal. We have also discussed how we can provide services to these people and how we can inform these people. For everyone who come to us to be able to get the information they need quickly. We have the information about officially registered persons, and you can see that in September we had 110,000 people, and as of today these are more than 130,000 people, 132,000 to be precise. We understand that we should expect the increased number of people. The more liberated territories we have, the more people will come here. Because the situation on the liberated territories is very difficult. For example, there is no power, water, and supply. There is no heating in the Kherson Oblast. That's why people try to find more comfortable and more safe places to live. In November, we visited the Kherson Oblast. We brought humanitarian aid there, and during that day, the city was constantly shelled, and we saw the line of people who were leaving the city by private transport and an organized group by municipal transportation. That's why we expect the increased number of people, and we also prepare new accommodation places for such people. As for the humanitarian aid provided, during November, we provided give 79,000 times. This means that there can be people who received aid twice, but we calculate the general amount of times and addresses that we get. There is also statistics by districts. This is correlated with the number of people residing in these regions, in these areas, including the IDPs. We also support locals. This information is provided by communities because we do not have the dissemination points in our headquarters, and our main objective is to support communities. That's why this number includes also the aid that we provided. But communities receive aid not only from the regional headquarters, but they can also use the resources from the budget. They can directly get humanitarian aid from donors. They can also get support and aid from farmers. So this number, this is the general statistics in terms of the amount of addresses and how many needs and addresses were met. On the next slide, you can see the dynamics. And in general, you can see that more than 500,000 of such addresses have been met. So we started the statistics in April, and in January there were more than 542,000 of addresses to us that that we responded to, and we provided aid. We have one more project, which is called the joint product package. We provided almost 51,000 such packages to districts that were disseminated among communities. The amount is uneven because our task was also not only to provide items from our side, but to use the reserves in the communities. That's why we provided opportunity to the communities to define by themselves who were ready to participate in the project. In December, we plan to provide the same number of packages, 50,000, but to ensure a more equal, a more even dissemination, and we would like to involve communities that refuse to participate in the program in November. We would like to offer all communities to be involved in the project. On the next slide, you can see what is included in such kit or package. This is within the World Food Program. Every package includes rice, peas, oil, and flour. Communities could add something to these packages, and they were really very responsible. They also add different types of grains, cans, meat cans, vegetable cans, sugar, sweets, and other food products, including milk. So we continued the project under the umbrella of the mentioned program. The next year, we also plan to continue this project. We also provide food products to hospitals, schools, kindergartens, boarding schools, etc. This month we are going to add flavor, and now we are receiving applications from those who want to receive flour in this 50-kilo bags. That's why I would like to thank the World Food Program, who continue supporting us and plan to do this in the future. On the next slide, you can see the information about the program which was called Neighbors. Within the program, we supported Mykolaiv Oblast at the expense of the state budget. We formed packages that included 9 items. In November, we provided 860 packages. Generally, for the period, we provided 244,555 packages. We have finalized the program because the Mykolaiv Oblast has been fully liberated. We have feedback that not all the packages, not all the kits have been disseminated. All reserves that we created using the budget will be disseminated among the residents of Odesa Oblast, including IDPs. And you remember the statistics. We had 130,000 of officially registered IDPs. The Cabinet of Ministers allowed to use the stocks that have been already paid from the state budget, not only by the partner region, in our case, that was the Mykolaiv Oblast, but also in the region where the packages were formed. We have created 10,000 packages under the new program that will be first shipped to the Odesa Rayon, that now has the biggest amount of IDPs, and then to other rayons or districts. We have finished the project for Mykolaiv Oblast. We have received gratitude from different communities and administrations. And now we understand that the situation has improved for our neighbors. That's why we can focus on our internal challenges. Here you can see the information about the number of packages that we provided during the previous periods. The dynamics is different, and this is related to the amount of products that we had on the warehouses and with the payments from the budget, and it also depended on the support of Ukrainian railway company, Ukrzaliznytsia. On the next slide, you can see the information about the aid and support we provide to our military. We we're preparing to winterization in terms of the thermals and warm clothes. We provided some of the items to the territorial defense units that we cooperate to. We have also provided the vehicle Grand Cherokee and 4,000 warm dinners or lunches that we provided through the NGO. The military is not our main audience, but we always remember about them. And whenever we have the possibility to provide to them the stocks that we have on the warehouses, we do this. But not all donors agree to this. They say that because of their internal policy, they cannot support military. So we can support the military only if we have the consent of the donor who provided specific items. As for plans for the future, we have different projects, all of them now facing this shortage of resources. We plan to develop the NGO that has been registered by representatives of the headquarters to get support of international institutions aimed at ensuring adaptation of IDPs who will not be able to come back home in the nearest month or even years. That's why these people should quickly adapt to the new conditions. So they need support with accommodation, with the mental support, and they also need help with regard to educational and healthcare issues. That's why we have several projects that have been already prepared, and we have all the calculations for such adaptation center. Not only the headquarters, but also the great number of different NGOs, predominantly Ukrainian NGOs, are involved in the process. But there are still some needs that should be met. There is also the accommodation issue, because we actually visited the IDPs accommodation centers. They are not that popular because these are improvised dormitories, but people prefer to live in their flats or apartments. They need some private space. That's why now we work with our donors to ensure that the IDPs are able to pay for such accommodations the next year, at least during the first 6 months of the next year. This will improve the mental condition of people. This will calm them down, and they will be more ready to think about future. I know that some NGOs have already planned these expenses in their budgets. I cannot speak about numbers now, but I think that the next months we will have the proposals in terms of the support of people. There are also still logistic problems and a great number of other issues that we have to respond to. Unfortunately, it is not always possible to respond quickly due to the lack of people that we have in our headquarters and the lack of resources that we need to solve the issues. The key objective for us is now to equip the points of invincibility. We involve in this project the NGOs that provide heaters, thermos, power banks, generators, and other types of devices and equipment that can support people in case of blackouts, for people to be able to get some heating and to charge their devices. This is the project we are going to develop in the future. During the previously reported period, more than 20 generators were already supplied to the points of invincibility. We plan to continue this work this month. We are going to form and to have some stocks of generators that will be provided to those towns and settlements that face long-term outages. This is all from my side. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. So, do you have any questions to the head of the Humanitarian Headquarters? Dmitro Bogomolov, Live News. I have the following questions. During recent weeks, we have faced emergency outages. How has this impacted the work of warehouses? So how do you solve this issue? And the next question about about the generators. What countries do provide these generators? Our warehouses were operative because we have generators. The only problem is that we have internet and mobile connection issues during the blackouts. That's why now we are going to buy Starlink. And actually, the problem is that large that our employees had to put the equipment tables outside to be able to connect. But as for the operations of our warehouses, we have generators. Of course, this ensures certain costs. We need around 20 liters of fuel per day. What countries provide these generators? I will speak about organizations, not countries. We have recently received 90 generators from USAID. We received them last Saturday, to be precise. And we disseminated the last generators within that consignment on Monday. Some of them were provided to the community by USAID through Haverla project. Others were disseminated by the military administration. There is also one more project, IREX, under the umbrella of USAID. We expect 20 more generators of various capacity that we are going to disseminate further on. I've mentioned the generators that were provided to the point of invincibility, the total number of 10 generators. And these generators are provided by Israel Forum for International Humanitarian Aid. We have representatives of this organization in our oblast. The regional administration is responsible for coordinating dissemination of generators. So we coordinate our activities with the head of the administration because the demand is significant and we should define the priority. That's why these activities are fully coordinated with the Odesa Oblast military administration, and we provide generators first to the priority institutions. Valery Borgan, Intent Media. The situation is clear with generators. And the answer from the response today now is more full in terms of the information about donors. Do you coordinate your activities with the DTEC and other structures which are responsible for transformers? So I'm not responsible for this, but I can provide the information that I have. Not all transformers that have been damaged could be repaired because of the lack of spare parts. Representatives of the DTEC company say that the main challenge now is to find spare parts. There were a lot of questions about these outages in the different houses. Some of the houses face more power cuts than others, and this is actually related to the fact if these houses are on the line with the objects of critical infrastructures as hospitals, because this is impossible to cut electricity and to bring it back in the hospitals, which are on this separately from the houses on the same line. There are some other technical issues. The DTEC sees that there is electricity, but in reality, there is a power cut there. That's why the company cannot properly respond to all the cases. So the activities are coordinated by the representatives of all communities who have the contact details of the representatives of regional administrations, and also we get information from the citizens who call to the hotline to inform about a power cut. There was no power supply in Odesa, but the power supply was in the region. So Odesa did not have a power supply, but the power supply was there in the region. I would like to add something. In Kiev, they have informed that they still will cut the houses from the lines with the critical infrastructure. Hopefully, this will not be the case in Odesa. For example, I live near the house where there are no power cuts, and we still hope to receive representatives from DTEC company to answer all your questions, because this is their responsibility. I have the question about the neighbor project, about the residents of the Mykolaiv Oblast. Are the residents of the Kherson Oblast covered by this project, and also the IDPs from those territories? Are they covered by this program, or are you going to have a separate program for them? The neighbor program does not cover the Kherson Oblast, but this doesn't mean that we do not support Kherson. And on the 26th of November, that was the day of commemorating the victims of famine, we had several trucks to the Kherson Oblast. For example, we provided water to Oleksandrivka. For all the time, we ask what are the needs in the region. And for example, from Oleksandrivka, we got information that they need water, and we supplied water respectively. Representatives of Odesa businesses also collected construction materials. There were 2 trucks in general, and there was 1 more truck with food packages for the Kherson Oblast. We traveled there with the representatives of the Odesa military administration and the Odesa regional council. So we unloaded trucks by ourselves together with the heads and representatives of the relevant administration. And we did it under the shelling the whole day long. And we could hear explosions and strikes, and we saw the line of people trying to leave the city. We also traveled to another community. We have the amalgamated consignment of different types of items, including water and clothes. The Odesa Oblast is now responsible for Oleksandrivska community. So liberated communities are now under responsibilities of different regions of Ukraine. This doesn't mean that we do not want to support other communities that address us. We have written requests from them, for example, from Korabelny district of the city of Kherson, from the settlement of Antonivka, which is a part of the Kherson community and which is close to the Antonivka bridge, and it is under constant shelling. We are ready to support them if we have the opportunity. As for the people who come to Odessa in the framework of voluntary evacuations are also supported by us. We also requested 5,000 more food packages for these people, and they can get this support in the points of dissemination. We know that those people who come to the railway station can get not only food packages but also money. There are NGOs which ensure cash assistance to these people. The next question, if we have. If no, then thank you. Thank you for your report. Thank you for answering questions of journalists, and we hope to see you in 1 month. Thank you for the invitation. This is the last briefing for today. See you next week, and hopefully the situation in Odessa will be stable enough and we will have power supply to work. See you.